Do y'all get bored of watching the same athletes on TV every week? Nothing about them ever changes, and we know who the best already are. Just like y'all, many Americans get bored of modern day sports events. Things look slower on TV, I guess. Being an athlete myself, I understand how difficult it can be to stay in perfect shape for a competition. So I have done thorough research on the possibility of more supplements to be available at my own discretion to make myself a better athlete. The legalization of steroids and elimination of standardized drug testing in sports needs to be looked at again and changed to help these athletes who are struggling with their health. The main problem of this is steroids have been a controlled substance since 1991 when the Federation of Controlled Substances, they took it into charge, and they were like, basically saying that it needed to be a substance that you couldn't just buy over the counter, just like Advil or something like that. In Major League Baseball, players caught testing positive for steroids are subject to suspension and fines. The first offense of being caught, you were suspended for 50 games. Their second offense is for 100 games. And third offense, you are likely to be banned from the league for life. Much like the MLB, the National Football League, or NFL, issues at least 6 drug tests to a player, with 1 each season at least. The NFL started testing for steroids in 1987, and they started their suspension process of this in 1989. Understanding what is occurring now is only part of the process, though. Let's look at what started this. Henry Lawson of Sports Illustrated states that an overuse of anabolic steroids in sports leagues led leagues to believe that they caused an unfair advantage and gave users an upper hand on their competition. After World War II is really when all of this started picking off, because soldiers would come home with drug addictions from different amphetamines that they would use to stay awake and stay alert during war. So most of these soldiers that came back and were athletes figured, if I can stay awake and pay more attention while I'm fighting, why can I not do the same thing in a sports game, and it might be able to help me win. Performance enhancers are seen as a negative because they allow athletes to perform better, but in my opinion and statistical side of things, if you're able to perform better, then the numbers for revenue or people who have interest in that sport also increase. So why should an athlete not be allowed to have the choice to make themselves whether they want to use medicine or not to be better? That regulating what an athlete can use limits what they consume and what they can put into their body. This isn't just steroids. I know there's different sports supplements like pre-workouts and mass gainers that also test positively for drugs, because I know there's this thing called Mesomorph. It's a pre-workout. It tests positive for methamphetamines, and everyone knows you can't use meth. So steroids are a synthesis of testosterone, which is the male's drive hormone. Leagues like to limit this drive to keep from having their sports become too dangerous. Now that we have seen the problem and talked about what caused the problem, let me tell you some solutions. Obviously, the main solution is just to legalize steroids, because it makes sports a hell of a lot cooler. The legalization of anabolic steroids should be implemented across the world. It should be at the player's discretion whether they want to use performance enhancers or not. Taking away an athlete's medical rights is like taking away a NASCAR driver's license. It's like saying, oh, you have this ability that you can use, but it's limited, so we're just going to say you can't use it at all. I think it's one of those things that should just be even for everyone else to use. So it's like it can't be an unfair playing field if everyone has the opportunity to take the same drugs that another person takes. While the legalization has not been put into full effect, leagues should limit their drug tests to ease into the new world of medical sports. By this, I mean you can't just up and say, hey, everyone can do this, and then just like no one will think anything twice of what it was before. Many players have been banned from sports they love because they were single even-handedly protesting drug policies. This means, or anyways, Tom Joseph from ESPN says this quote because they are sticking to something they believe in and they use it and they're punished from it. We have to prove the league directors that sports are a lot more fun to watch when they are performed at very high levels. Steroids bring high level of play to an even higher level. In the MLB in the 1980s, when everybody was juicing, stadiums were constantly filled to watch the long balls happen. Imagine what that'd be like now with Giancarlo Stanton or Aaron Judge hitting a 550-foot bomb because they are roided up and already monsters. In conclusion, we've discussed the legalization of steroids in sports after talking about the problems with today's drug testing as well as what led to this point. Imagine going to a baseball game nowadays with all these athletes absolutely jacked from the performance enhancers. Tell me that would not be an amazing thing to see guys just hitting nukes. Same thing with football. You see less injuries because people's muscles and tendons are a lot stronger. This task is only possible with y'all's help. My voice and the voice of so many other athletes have not been enough for this movement. The more people we can add on, the better chances we have of the legalization of steroids.